All right, good morning. We got everything going here? Oh, we did. Trying to do the video. All right. Shut Up Dave podcast. Good morning. Lots to do today. You're certainly welcome to join us and comment. I moved the iPad off of the desk so it wouldn't shake. We'll see. I'm still shaking with the with the desk a little bit, and we'll see how we do it from here. I will get a microphone ready for tomorrow. I tried to get a little headphone jack yesterday for this. Couldn't find one. Walmart didn't have it. We'll get it tomorrow, or we'll get it later today. Guitar Center. I think we are going to head to Baton Rouge. We will hear from Scott Woodward, the new LSU AD, and we spoke about it a little bit yesterday. But it really is amazing how the home run that LSU hit, and it was a such a process, right? Believe in the process. Finally believe in the process, and it worked. You know, maybe they used the Will Wade situation as an excuse. Again, that was over Joel Leva's head. Joel Leva didn't want to suspend Will Wade. That came from F. King Alexander. And so then the ball got rolling, and again, Scott Woodward's got this odd resume, right? He hasn't been an AD for 30 years. He's the vice chancellor of the whole school. He goes to Washington, becomes the AD there, becomes the AD for, was he even at A&M for 2 years? And not difficult to get him home to Baton Rouge. And so we'll be at the press conference. It's a noon press conference in Baton Rouge. And this could mark, we'll see, it could mark a new day for LSU sports, right? I guess the obvious choice, unfortunately, is probably going to be the women's coach, Nikki Vargas. We'll see if she comes back. And then if anything else comes out of the federal trial, will Wade come back? You know, that'll be a deal. That'll be a situation that they'll have to deal with that as well. Oh, look who's watching. Kate Turner. Rachel is watching down in South Florida. Thanks very much. And John Briscoe, happy Somerset Patriots. Good morning to you. This is the Shut Up Dave podcast. We did get it on iTunes. We did get it on Stitcher. And it is on Spotify as well. Also on YouTube. So we'll do this every morning, hopefully around this time. Although tomorrow morning it's going to be on earlier. I got to get up earlier. I'm going over to Fox 15 to do a Saints draft preview, which who knows what they're going to do in the second round. Are they actually going to trade up and get into the first round or another second round pick? We'll have to see. But again, Scott Woodward being announced today. This could mark that, Paul Maneri's not going anywhere. Ed Orgeron isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I think they're going to go 11-1 this year. Still won't win the SEC West, but could very well be in the playoff. Right? If Ed Orgeron beats Texas, if LSU beats Texas, really the only other hard game is Alabama, and I don't see them beating Alabama unless this offense is as dynamic as everybody's saying it is. And really dynamic is meaning scoring a touchdown against Alabama. That would be dynamic. Too soon? So we'll see. I don't think Ed Orgeron's on the hot seat right now. It's always warm at LSU, right? He was brought in to get past the 8 wins, to get past the 9 wins. They did get 10 last year, right? But overall with the bowl game. But we'll see what happens this year. I really don't think that they're gonna, unless they tank. I mean, unless they go 7-5 or something along those lines, or 8 wins, I don't think Ed Orgeron is going anywhere. And even somebody that I spoke to was like, "Well, who are you going to go get? Well, Jimbo's got like a no trade clause. There's no outs in Jimbo's contract, which of course Scott Woodward made over at A&M. Well, you can't find somebody else. You can't find the next Tom Herman. I even suggested Dino Babers at Syracuse, but the only problem with that is he's in his mid-50s. He's not a young and up-and-coming coach. And obviously, first to tell you, obviously LSU is a better job than Syracuse. The difference is that Syracuse, right now, as of right now, Syracuse only has to really beat Clemson. Think who's down in the ACC. Florida State's down. Louisville's down. And Miami is coming back with Manny Diaz. How long is that going to last? Syracuse got a little head start on that. And they are 1-1 against Clemson. So we'll see. It's not a bad job. All right. But again, there's got to be somebody else besides. There's got to be somebody else besides. There's got to be someone else besides Jimbo Fisher to take LSU's job. And again, I don't think Ed Orgeron's going anywhere. All right, they're going to win 10, 11 ball games this year, whether regular season or bowl games, and he's not going anywhere. So we'll see what Nick Mondo told me to clean up my floor. I did. I guess you're getting a range more on the Facebook Live than anything else. So I don't think Ed Orgeron's going anywhere. Paul Maneri's not going anywhere. Nikki Vargas may have a little issues with the women's coach, and obviously Beth Torina is doing a great job with LSU softball. So it'll be very interesting to see what Mark Scott Woodward puts on the program initially. I don't think anything's going to happen in the next week or so. And again, we'll see what comes out of that federal trial up in New York, which now, again, Will Wade and Sean Miller, among others, are not compelled to testify. That doesn't mean some stuff that they said isn't going to get into the trial. All right, it won't, and that it may be evidence or not. We'll see what happens. All right, their testimony's not getting in, but we'll see if some other stuff gets in. All right, so Scott Woodward press conference will be there at noon today, and we'll put up a video recap of that later on. All right. One thing that's kind of odd to me, and it has not been a good season for Raging Cajuns baseball. It just hasn't. All right, this thing has not gone as planned at all. Not at all, right? Gunnar Leger hasn't been Gunnar Leger. Dalton Horton hasn't been Dalton Horton, right? Bryant Young's come in and done okay, all right? Jack Burke has been up and down. Austin Perrin's been trying to carry the load. Jacob Schultz and Blake Schultz, no relation. Trying to do what they can do, right? Daniel LaHare hitting under 200, right? Hayden Cantrell's having a good year. Todd Lott's coming on. Hanson Monaco started out as ball on fire, slumped, and now he's coming back on, but has just not been consistent whatsoever. You go over to the message boards, and they are on fire if Tony Robichaux is coming back. By the way, good morning, Ron Rafkus. That's a long, that was like elementary school, Ron Rafkus. Good morning, sir. And so they're talking about Tony Robichaux getting fired. Does anyone really believe that Brian Mayer is going to fire Tony Robichaux? That's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Now, when I showed up in the fall of 13 and, in the spring of 14, they actually, everyone told me how good they were, and then they went out and lost to Eastern Illinois in the first game of the season. But they were the number one team in the nation, right? We all know how it, got away from them against Ole Miss. But they were the number one team in the nation, putting together a huge winning streak during the season. And I didn't know how good they were. Here's the thing about that team, with the Jace Conrads and the Caleb Adams and the Michael Strentzes, right? You had guys who could do both things. You guys who could have sacrifice bunts for base hits, doubles to the gap, and home runs. Now you really have that. You don't have that ability to do that. There's not a whole lot of good bunting. Daniel LaHare is too fast not to be able to lay down a bunt. And then I asked Tony Robichaux on why, someone who's in a huge slump can't lay one down. He's like, well, that's what happens when you're not a good bunter. Oh, well, that's an issue. So the season hasn't gone as planned, but people think that Tony Robichaux is going to get fired. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they have some good youngsters, right? I think Hayden Grantrell's only going to be here for another year. I would be shocked if he's here for 4 years. Again, he's having the kind of, go through his stats. He's having the kind of season a Sun Belt Player of the Year is having. Easy, right? He's among the league leaders in hits. He's right below top 10 in batting average, on base percentage. He's going to have double digits in home runs. He has got double digits in stolen bases. He's having a fantastic season. Bad error on Friday that kind of led to the snowball of the sweep against UTA, and had some errors early on in the season. But Hayden Cantrell's having a heck of a sophomore season. All right, yeah, you had the third baseman got hurt. and that's been an issue. I mean, injuries have just been an issue throughout the year, and they just haven't taken it to the next level, right? I mean, I think they've been in 3 regionals since I've been here, right? They hosted the first year in 2014. They went to Houston. Was that the next year, right? That was kind of where they kind of found the magic potion, right? They got a grand slam to win the Sun Belt Conference tournament. They went to Houston. They were getting no hit, and they were going to get bounced out of the tournament. They win that ball game, and they win the regional, and then they lose, 2 to LSU in the Super Regional. They were here against Arizona, I think, the following year, and beat Arizona in game 1, and ended up losing 2 games to Arizona in the end. And they haven't been back since. They've missed the last 2 seasons, and unless they win the Sun Belt Conference tournament this year, they're not going to win it. They're not going to the NCAA tournament again, and that's a shame. All right, and that's been very apparent since. I mean, we're at the end of April now, but it was very apparent since really, the beginning of April. They just weren't that good. There's no consistency, right? Dalton Horton can't find the strike zone at all. Not with a fastball. So the pitching hasn't lined up the way the Cajuns have wanted, and we'll see what transpires. But I don't think Robe is going anywhere. People who think that Tony Robichaux is going to get fired are out of your mind. He is not going anywhere. And I know we have some fun with him with his Robeisms. He gave one answer, not yesterday at his Monday press conference, but 2 Mondays ago, and we could put it up there. There were at least 8 Robeisms, in one 10-minute answer. Analogies and metaphors, and he's a treat. All right, he's not going anywhere. All right, I know the team hasn't, gotten up to the standards that either Robe or the fans. You think the fans are mad? Robichaux ain't happy either. I will say the hitting has come along, right? They weren't hitting at all early on in the season. They're hitting much more consistent now. All right. Before they're getting like 1 or 2 or 3 runs, and the pitching's got to be perfect. You should win a ball game when you score 8 runs. You should be winning a ball game when you're leading 8-4 with your quote closer on the hill. Good morning, Michael Bronstein. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe in iTunes to the Shut Up Dave podcast and rate it. I'd appreciate the 5 stars, but you're certainly welcome to do it on your own. All right, NFL draft coming up on Thursday. Saints do not have a pick in the first round, so we'll have to wait until Friday for the Saints to pick in the second round. Again, they really only need depth. They don't need a whole heck of a lot, right? Offensive line depth, defensive line depth, linebacker depth, defensive secondary depth. Wide receiver is probably what they need. So we'll see what's going on. Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Jeff Forchak. Thanks for tuning in to the Shut Up Dave podcast. But meanwhile, all of a sudden, someone's decided that, I may want to come back and play a little football. Ben Watson's all of a sudden decided, you know what? I got the itch, which is a little bit odd. It should be noted that Ben Watson also donating some money, getting a fund going for the churches that were burned down in Opelousas. So good for him. He's heading up one of those charities, and that's the kind of man that Ben Watson is. He even got Stephen Piscotty from the Ravens to donate a 6-figure check. So that's the kind of man that Ben Watson is. But he's going to come back for the right opportunity. Well, what's the right opportunity? Saints have a need, right? Saints could use him, right? That's not a bad thing for the Saints. Who did he get drafted? Oh, that's right, the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots could use Ben Watson. We'll see what he thinks the right opportunity is. I can't imagine he's going to go to a team that is, not going to compete for a Super Bowl. So, I don't know if the Rams need him. The Eagles need him. The Patriots need him. Steelers, I don't think, need him. Chiefs have a they got Kelsey. I don't think they're going anywhere with a tight end. So we'll see where Ben Watson goes, and does that change anything for the draft? And when does that decision get made? Right? Is that decision made now before the draft, or is it made after the draft to see where you are? And is he going to wait until after the draft to see where to see what the best situation is? Again, I would not think that he would not go to. He's not going to Buffalo. No offense, and they may be an up-and-coming team, but they're not winning it this year, right? He's not going to go to Cincinnati. He's not going to go just play football. He wants to be in a right situation where he's got a chance to win, and you would think that is, two teams that are interested would be the Saints and the Patriots. I mean, maybe the Ravens. The Ravens probably think they could win, but I don't think so. The Ravens may compete in that division, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. I just don't. News did come out, and this sounds more along the lines of posturing than anything else. Pete Pisco from CBSSports.com suggested that Kyler Murray is not going to be the number one pick. And what a hard spot was it Steve Keim, the GM of the Cardinals, is in. If he doesn't pick Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray ends up being a great quarterback, Keim's going to get fired. Although when that would be, I don't know. Are you going to do it after 1 year? So that's going to be interesting. I mean, now you got Cliff Kingsbury in there with Josh Rosen. Maybe it could be one of those situations that whoever the quarterback is going to be successful. I guess there were some Wonderlic scores, and he didn't interview well, and I don't know if I really care about all that stuff. It is a job interview, and you should do interviewing well, and you're doing the same interview every time. You would think you get polished at it. That's what these agents do. Even if you're the number one guy, you need to come off as a leader. I know Peyton Manning, I don't know if it was egotistical or it's just really groomed, right? There was a big difference. There wasn't that big a difference at the time between Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. And I'll tell you, I was probably more of a Ryan Leaf fan, but he came out of nowhere, went to Washington State, wasn't used to the national media, and Peyton Manning literally told, I think, Jim Irsay with the Colts, if you don't take me now, or it was Jim Irsay and Bill Polian, you're making a big mistake if you don't take me. You're just screw this up. I'm the number one guy. You need to take me. Does that come off as confident? Does it come off as cocky? But he said he was the number one guy and certainly one of the all-time greats. But now the GM of the Cardinals is in this spot where if you take him and he's not good, you're screwed. And if you don't take him and he is good, then you're screwed. And he's got the number one guy, the number one pick, and there are so many good defensive players. Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Ed Oliver, Devin White. Devin White seems to be slated to go to Tampa Bay, and then the ESPN guys didn't have Greedy Williams until Kansas City at 29. Didn't have Greedy Williams until 29. You know what that means? I can't imagine him getting past the Chiefs, I guess, according to those two guys. But this was a mock draft between McShay and Kuiper, where they're, each one picking the next guy. If he's falling to 29, then he can fall to 32. I wouldn't have a problem with him, Stephen Gilmore on one side of the Patriots, and then Greedy Williams on the other side. Mark Beck from the great land of Oz. So we go. Good morning, Mark, with Major League Baseball as well. You never talk about hockey on your Facebook watch show. 2 Game 7s tonight. Yes, there are 2 Game 7s, and I know Facebook is on all over the place, but I'm in South Louisiana. I'm not sure anyone's talking about Game 7s in hockey down here. Sorry. I haven't even watched the NBA playoffs. I appreciate the Game 7s and may actually watch them because playoff hockey is a lot of fun, but I'm not sure it's, in my wheelhouse just yet. You enjoy them, that's for sure. Islanders have already clinched. What are you worried about? Your Islanders are already in the second round. Pipe down there, Beck. Pipe down. But thanks for listening and watching. So it'll be interesting to see where Devin White goes, where Greedy Williams goes, and then obviously Kyler Murray is going to set the tone. I cannot imagine, and what do I know? I can't imagine that Arizona's not taking him. I would think that would totally be the case. But we'll see. We'll see if that's the case. You'd have to find out who's going to take him next. How far does it fall? All right, Dwayne Haskins is apparently going to the Giants. I think the Giants have totally screwed this up. We'll see what happens. You know, can you get a quarterback going at the same time you got Saquon Barkley, right? Can you get those two guys going at the same time on rookie deals? And I'm a big believer, actually, in the recipe to win for a long time, for an extended period of time, is on the rookie quarterback contract, all right? That's when the Patriots won. That's when the Seahawks won. That's when the Steelers won, all right? What did the Saints do after Drew Brees took all the money? They really haven't got back. It's taken them this long, right? So now Drew Brees has all the money. And outside of like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis, everybody else is on the rookie deal. Good morning, Phil. I don't have a raw update, sorry. All those guys are on a rookie deal. That's why they're good, right? Kamara, Lattimore, Eli Apple's still on a rookie deal, right? The two offensive linemen are on rookie deals. You know, this is very different, and I've said this before, that, you know, what the Patriots are doing, a bunch of veterans, very few young guys, outside of the running back from Georgia, who's pretty good, compared to the Saints, who are building what is going to be a nice veteran team around what you think is going to be a rookie quarterback, possibly in the 2020 season. We'll see. I'm a big believer in that when you have an extended period of time, we'll see the next time the Seahawks are competitive. All right, we'll just count that out. I know the Patriots now are the exception. That's more, you know, having what now is like three of the top players of their position. Right, Stephen Gilmore in the corner. Gronkowski, who's now retired, and Brady, right? And they have a solid offensive line. And Bill Belichick, who, you know, outcoached the super genius on the Rams sideline, Sean McVay. So a little bit of an advantage there, right? Whereas, did Sean Payton really outcoach McVay? He certainly had it set up. I know the Colts didn't go their way. But as we've heard before, a lot of that could have been won earlier in the game. All right. I know the call was bad. It was a bad call. Should have gone the Saints' way. But it's amazing on how the Patriots, not only did the Patriots outcoach McVay and got a break when McCourty breaks up the touchdown to Cooks in the back end of the end zone, whereas, Goff was late and kind of whiffed on the pass. The ball slipped out of his hands. It could have gotten there a half a second earlier, and it probably would have been a touchdown. But Sean McVay really didn't make any adjustments in the second half. They were still bogged down in their offense. And now Todd Gurley's got arthritis in his knee. That's going to be tough. As we heard Mark Beck saying, and good morning, Lane LeBlanc. Thanks for tuning in. I don't even know what the hockey is. Did I see? Oh, the Caps. That's not tonight. That's not. Wasn't that last night? Also, story. Kings just hired Luke Walton, accused in a lawsuit of sexual assault. We'll see how that turns out. Let's see what the game 7s are tonight. So tonight you do have Toronto and Boston 3-3, Vegas and San Jose. Vegas, and what a story they were last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now they got to go to San Jose to win. Carolina all of a sudden is 3-3 with Washington, so the Caps were not able to put them away. Nashville beat Dallas on Monday, so they've advanced. NBA really has not been, and Mark Beck is right, the NBA has just not been very good. The playoffs have not been very good, right? We've had a couple of wins, right? The Nets got one win. The Clippers got one win. Otherwise, the NBA has really not been good on the court. The NBA off the court stuff is fun. Barkley and Kenny Smith are good. LeBron James is good. Dwayne Wade is good off the court. And then, of course, you have this whole Pelicans thing. You had Steve Kerr calling out Anthony Davis about wearing, that's all, folks, t-shirt. That's pretty funny stuff. And then we still have, 3 weeks? The 14th is when the 14th is when the lottery is, and I was hoping that the Pelicans would be in the 6th spot, and maybe they could win the lottery, or maybe they could get in the top 3. And who do you have? You got the Mavericks and Phoenix who need point guards. So if somehow the Knicks take Zion Williamson, the Phoenix is going to take Ja Morant. That's who I've been looking at for 2 months now, maybe even 3. That I was hoping to get Ja Morant. When I found out that it's just not that big a difference between what it used to be. The first 3 spots in the NBA draft lottery have a 14% chance. When you get to the 6th spot, it's a 9% chance, and that's of winning the lottery. Whereas before, I think it was like 25 for the first team, so the Knicks would have a 25% chance of winning it, and I think it was down to 6 by the time you got to 6%, something like that. It was by the time you got down to the 6th spot, it was like 6% chance of winning. Now it's now it's not bad, and you just want to get him in the top spot, or you want to get him in the top 3. That's what I was hoping for. So RJ Barrett, Ja Morant, or Zion. We'll see what happens with the Pelicans. With the Pelicans' luck, they're 7th now because of course they can't even figure out how to tank, and they will. We'll see what they're doing with David Griffin, and he's talking about getting Anthony Davis back. I don't think Anthony Davis wants to come back. I don't think the Pelicans want him back. I think he's talking a good game, a little posturing there. Although I did mention it, that was a possibility a couple months ago, saying what happens if, all of a sudden what happens if you win the lottery and you get Zion Williamson? Or what happens if you're going to make a trade, obviously that's going to be for Anthony Davis, with Anthony Davis in it. So, but if you win the lottery, what happens if you end up with a 2nd pick and you get Ja Morant, Jrue Holiday, and Anthony Davis on the same team? That's not bad. Not bad at all. But again, we're in the process thing with David Griffin. It's not about winning now, which is good, but setting yourself up. And people are calling Mark Jackson saying the Warriors are not going to be the same team next year. You kind of have to be ready. Kind of like the Rays are this year and what they were a few years ago, right? The Rays were pretty good last year. Didn't the Tampa Bay Rays win like 90 games last year, but well back of the Yankees and the Red Sox? Well, the Red Sox stink, although I think they just swept the Rays. The Yankees, I think, have more players on the DL than not injured. And the Rays are pretty good. And so when the Warriors come around, and we'll see who splits up. Durant seems like he's gone. We'll see if Klay Thompson's gone. And you got to be ready for when that happens. So does that put Houston in there? Does the Nuggets, who have built something nicely over the last few years, kind of under the radar? Where does OKC go? What about the Spurs? But all of a sudden, if you rebuild, with a draft pick or a couple of draft picks, and Jason Tatum and Jrue Holiday, you could be, the idea is to get in that top 4. That's really the idea. So then you have home court advantage, and you can get to the 2nd round, hopefully, and you might have home court advantage in that. All right. So that's what we're trying to do for the Pelicans. And then, who knows who gets hurt, right? Cleveland won a ball game because won a championship because Draymond Green with too many technicals, kicking people in the groins, and misses a ball game, and then that was one of those times, and anything can happen in Game 7, and anything did, and Cleveland won. So you got to be ready when those opportunities come. We'll see how long that it takes. You'd like to see in a position, I don't know about 2020, but depending on what draft picks they get, 2021, 2022, you'd like to see them in a position to win it in the next 3 years. Because then Jrue Holiday is on the back end of his career. We'll see if also they sign up with Elfrid Payton from the Cajuns. All right. Did get a chance to. We'll wrap it up with this. Did get a chance to see. Billy Napier and the football team. They're celebrating their spring ball game. The winners got a nice catered meal. And the team that came up short got beans and rice. You can imagine how that went over. But I'll get a video from Billy Napier. I asked him, when did he get comfortable here, right? Because it takes a little bit of time I think how much his head is spinning. Think about when you're going to a new job, you're picking up, moving to a new city. How long does it take you to get comfortable in your job? And he's in charge. He's basically in charge. He got the job in December of 17. No, in December of 17. So he got the job in December of 17, if I can remember my years. In December of 17. Right before the early signing period. Now he's got to move his family during the holidays over here. He's not doing anything during the signing period. Once the new year gets in, he's got to go out and recruit. Or it's technically his first signing class, but that's kind of tough because you got a month before that. Then you got to get your off-season program into place. Then you're doing spring ball. Then you're recruiting, and he ended up with the number 1 recruiting class. Then you have the season, and they did win 6 out of 8, although they did lose their last. They won 6 out of 8 to end the regular season. They did lose their last 2 ball games, including the Sun Belt Championship game against App State, and then the bowl game against Tulane. And I think it was a good learning experience, to say the least. And Nate Billy will admit this, that there was too much going on in those 2 weeks, and he's going to learn on how to handle it. Because signing day is right after the bowl game. The early signing day was right after the bowl game. And so there's really no break in between. There was no break in between the regular season, the Sun Belt Conference Championship, and the bowl game. It was all the same time. And the recruiting. And so he's going to figure out on how to do that, because I bet you he's hoping that he's hosting the Sun Belt Conference Championship game this year. We'll see how good the season is. If the season's any good, going to another bowl game. So they'll be more prepared for that. Again, there's hashtag always bright side. Once you're done with the bowl game, then you can enjoy the holidays a little bit more. Whereas, before that signing period, but before you have that early signing period, you're really not enjoying everything. And a team like the Cajuns in the mid-majors are on pins and needles. That signing day is such a huge advantage for the mid-majors that the bigger teams, the Power 5 teams, can't swoop in and take some guys that are headed for your program, but all of a sudden they have an opening because someone decided to go somewhere else. So I'll put that piece of video up there. Also, what he learned about being a head coach that he didn't know before. Also, the little piece of video that did go viral on Twitter at ShutUpDave, and on Facebook. I don't know if I put it on Facebook, but it was Ashton Johnson. He's a senior running back. He is a backup, and he basically called out, and I don't want to say he hem and hawed, but he did. It is at Shut Up Dave Pod. He did say the Cajuns have the best running back room, not in the Sun Belt, but in the nation. Trey Regis, Raymond Calais Jr., and Eli Mitchell. That's pretty good. All right. And he's on special teams. Maybe he'll be a slot receiver. I don't know how much Ashton Johnson's going to get on the field. Right. This is the 4th string running back. He's the backup to the backup to the backup to the backup. But we talked to the head coach last night. We talked to the starting quarterback yesterday. We talked to the middle linebacker. And we talked to the starting right guard on what is considered maybe the best unit on the team. It's either the running backs or the offensive line. And the guy with the best soundbite was the 4th string running back, saying that the Cajuns have the best running back room, not in the Sun Belt. I said may have the best running back room, not in the Sun Belt, but in the nation. That's throwing down the gauntlet. No pressure, Trey Regis. No pressure, Raymond Calais Jr. No pressure, Eli Mitchell. Those guys are so good. And it is an interesting offense. Good morning, Mark Foreman. It is an interesting offense because I want to go more Big 12. I want to go more aerial. But this team is just as good as running the football. And that's how you win football games at the end of the game, right? One of the things that I'm looking for this year from this team is to be more consistent. When you need a first down, you got to get a first down. Because if this team is going to play, they can play, they honestly could do 3 plays and even run 1 or 2 and not run a minute off the clock. That's how fast they go. They can get plays off in 20 seconds. And if you do run, incomplete pass, and you do that a couple of times, your defense is going to get exhausted. And especially in the 4th quarter, when you're up by 3, and scoring would be great, but now we need to run 3 minutes off the clock. We need to run 4 minutes off the clock, and the other team's got all 3 timeouts. I need to run the football, and the other team knows I'm going to run the football, and I got to ram it down their throat. And that's going to be very interesting. All right? It's going to be very interesting to see if the Cajuns can do that. I'm going to run it. They know I'm going to run it. And I know they know I'm going to run it. But I'm going to run it anyways. All right. The big thing is, and we really haven't talked about this as well, Levi Lewis didn't actually look all that good. All right. We'll see if he is the starting quarterback. All right. Great kid. Great leadership. Did better towards the end of the spring game. And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know if it's the difference between, and he's playing against the number 1 defense, whereas the freshman quarterback and the transfer quarterback were playing against the number 2 defense. It could be as simple as that. And Levi did better towards the end of the ball game. Again, the red team won the game when the commissioner, the head coach, decided we're not going to have a 10-second runoff to end the game. We're going to give the team another chance. And they gave it to Eli Mitchell. So I still think Levi Lewis got a lot of work to do. And we'll see if he's the guy to be consistently getting points on the board and being able to move the team. Again, when this team plays so fast, they got to be able to get 2 or 3 first downs. Not only a field position ball game, but I just look at it as a time of possession game. All right, if my offense is moving fast, which is great when it works, but if you go run, pass, or pass, run, pass, and it doesn't work, and you're off the field in a minute and a half, and the defense comes back out, they give up a first down, but then get off the field, or else they give up a long drive. That's worse. Maybe they hold them to a field goal, right? They do a great job, little goal line stand, and an 80-yard drive that comes up with a field goal. You can't go 3 and out and then put the defense back out there. They need to be more consistent when that's the case, and more cognizant of we need first downs. And we'll see if Levi Lewis is that guy. All right. One of the things Billy Napier suggests also that the team's turned over. Team hasn't turned over yet. They've lost 25 guys. Right. They've lost the senior class, but the new guys haven't come in yet. They may be teaching guys that were on the bench, and last year's freshman group is now getting a chance to play, but they really haven't gotten a bunch of new guys in yet. A couple of guys here and there, wide receivers, quarterbacks, but those influx guys, those new guys are going to come in June 1st. So we'll see if they have any effect, see if any of the freshman class have any effect on this team. All right, so we're going to go to Baton Rouge. We're going to go check out what Scott Woodward has to say, and go from there. Again, please like and share on the Facebook. That helps it out. We're going to try and get some sponsors. People know where to find me if you're interested in sponsoring this. We could actually turn it around, and I can put logos on the wall behind me. We're trying maybe find out some sports decals today. Someone suggested that. That's a good suggestion. Let's see what Bob has to say. I guess the thing about the spread offense is to get far enough ahead to not have to run the football. Well, it's a backward spread offense, right? The spread offense is usually airing the ball out. The Cajuns do it the other way. They spread the ball out. They spread the offense out to run the football, right? And when Raymond Clay Jr. Makes one guy miss, he's gone. Eli Mitchell is running over people. Trey Regis is running over people. It's a lot of fun to watch. That's the best running offense that I've seen. It's kind of like what that option was back in the day, right? Oklahoma running a triple option. Army and Navy still run it, right? You can't stop it. It's coming. You still can't stop it. Nick Guidry, good morning. Brandon Ray, good morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, so we'll go to the Scott Woodward press conference, see what he has to say. We really haven't talked any Major League Baseball. Astros all of a sudden have hit a skid. Dodgers are on fire. I don't even know if the Yankees played last night. So we'll see. They had one on Sunday, and I think they were getting close to 500. Again, everyone panics when things don't start out the right way. So we shall see. All right, again, please please share on Facebook. And again, this will be up on Stitcher, up on iTunes, and up on Spotify. So you can get the audio from that. Please subscribe. Please rate and review. Please like it. That would helpful if you could give it a 4 or 5 star rating. Also, eventually, I will put interviews on the podcast. Can't do that on the Facebook Live unless I am getting somebody, to join me on the Facebook Live. Personally, but we'll see how that works out, if people can hear that, and if I can hear that. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm eventually going to get interviews to put in the podcast, so that'll be something good. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with reaction to the Scott Woodward press conference, and we'll post that video up as well later on today. Thanks very much for tuning in.